Hello, good evening, Mohit. Mishra ji? Mishra ji? Mishra ji.
Hi, Bhavinji.
Hi, Mohit. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Thank you for accepting the invitation.
Anytime.
The Mishra ji, have you got the remote?
Yeah, I got a remote.
Acha, so can you able to present it?
Yeah, just I think yes, I can.
Okay,
You can
yes.
see my screen,
Okay,
right?
yes. Okay, got it.
Okay. And I am audible, right? My voice is clear?
Yes. Perfect.
How many members do we have?
So as of now, 6 have joined. Let's see, since there is the time, so it will take time. We'll
No
once
issues.
again remind.
No issues. No issues.
भाविन भाई क्या हाल चाल है? और मोहित, गुड इवनिंग.
Good. Sorry. Gaurav, thanks for joining. Gaurav, Gaurav.
यार भाविन भाई, आवाज आपकी वो काफी कम आ रही है.
Yes. Now it is audible. Hi,
नहीं,
Gaurav.
अभी भी स्लो आ रही है.
अभी भी slow आ रही है.
नहीं, अभी थोड़ा थोड़ा ठीक है.
Okay. Hi, reading. Suresh ji.
एक मिनट फॉर्मूला देखोगे?
Welcome, Tarina.
Hi, Bhavinji. So let's start. Hello.
Is that on?
Bhavinji, can you hear me?
Yes, 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 yes. So I was saying a brief background about Mohit. Everyone can you all able to hear me? Hello.
Hello everyone. Mohit ji, Bhavin has some technical issues, and that is why we were not able to hear him.
Okay, no, sure.
And it's a good time to start, sir. We are really excited to get your insights on this topic, and I take this opportunity to introduce you. Dear friends and colleagues, CA Mohit Dhand has experience of more than 13 years in offering banquet of services of fully integrated strategic advisory, risk and assurance services. He is co-founder of Agrawal Dhand Mohavani and Company, Chartered Accountants based in Pune, Think Drive Global Consultancy Private Limited, and Cash in Tech Private Limited. He's a chartered accountant by profession and has done various certification courses like certification in IFRS. His expertise lies in management advisory, internal audit, and risk consultancy, covering industries like healthcare, textiles, garment, IT, and fintech. He has been advising mid-size and large companies, listed and unlisted companies in India and abroad, in matters like business structuring, deal advisory, risk and assurance. And he is a regular speaker with IASB of ICAI. Can I ask rest members to please mute themselves? And other branches of ICAI on internal audit and risk and other related topics of audit and assurance. Sir, the floor is all yours, and it will be a pleasure to learn from you with your great experiences which you are carrying. You can please start.
Thank you, ma'am. I really appreciate for having me here. So, good evening, everyone. Please confirm if you can see my screen, ma'am, so that we can start. You can see my screen?
Yes, now we can see your screen, sir.
Okay, great. So once again, good evening, everyone. So today what I'm going to cover is basically the internal controls in the garment manufacturing industry. So we'll talk about what exactly it's done in the garment manufacturing industry, how complicated it is in the operation side, what it covers. So we'll see the operations, and then we'll see that what is the role of internal auditor in the garment manufacturing industry. So mainly towards what I'm going to cover is basically the value addition role, more towards risk assurance and what we say as a value added services in a core manufacturing company, which helps the organizations to improve their efficiency, reduce cost, optimization of resources, along with obviously the assurance that we are trying to give. So starting with this, so basically, garment industry is divided into two parts. Basically, one is the textile, that is manufacturing of fabric from the yarns, and then itself is a huge industry, and a lot of I'm fortunate to see a lot of mills across the world where textile is being manufactured, and I realized that it is as good as developing a medicine, because the way the textile is developed, how it will be, you will feel when you will wear it, whether it is a performance fabric, it is a non-performance fabric, whether it will degrade, because today everyone is talking about sustainability, whether it is degradable, non-degradable. So a lot of things in the textile. And as we see, when you see a garment, it doesn't seems to be very complicated. But when I see this, I work, as I mentioned, that I work with pharma as well as apparel and IT and other industries. I feel that garment is as complicated as the pharma industry, though it is not very regulated, but yes, the process, the minor operations that someone needs to take care while doing making a garment is a lot of the exercise. So, and the second part comes from when you get a fabric, so you don't bother about the fabric manufacturing, you get a fabric and you create the wearable garments, right? So mostly today we are going to cover about the garment that is converting from fabric to a wearable garment, right? So what does a garment manufacturer aim? It aims that it produce a quality garment and in the short possible time, because it is time, well, the time, because every minute. So when we go to a garment industry, we talk about cost per minute. Yeah, we'll see the terminology of what is generally used, but one of it is cost per minute. So what is the cost per minute of the factory? That is the key of the factory. That is a costing. So there are two main concepts when we talk about, which we'll see in detail. One is cost per minute, and second is SMV, standard minute value. That how much time one garment takes, right, to manufacture. So for example, if you're wearing a polo t-shirt or you're wearing a shirt, it takes an operation of, let's say, 20 minutes, and your cost per minute is, let's say, 10 cents, or let's say 10 rupees, right, or 100 rupees. So that into into the minute that is taken to manufacture a garment is your cut and make cost. So basically the time is very critical, and the quality. Yeah, because there is inline quality assessment, there is at the end of the line quality assessment, and a lot of quality people, QC QA, are there who keeps on looking at, because you will agree that this industry is, though there is a lot of technology and all, but still it is based on the manpower. It is on the manual industry which is being used. So there is a lot of chances that something can go wrong. So we'll talk about all of this. What is the role of internal auditor? How we can control all this. So a brief background on the garment. So how does, when you see this garment, what are the minute process that is involved? So first, a raw fiber is taken. So yarn, which we technically says as a thread, but is prepared from the raw fiber. There are a lot of raw fibers, petrochemicals. From there, the yarn is made. From there, raw fabric is made. So basically the color of the fabric will be, let's say, white, or depending on the yarn, mostly it's white, and then it is bleached or colored, right? So then the fabric is processed. After processing, it's finished, washed, colored, finished, and then you get a fabric. Then it comes to a garment industry, manufacturing industry, where cutting is being done, post cutting. So cutting is being done, sewing is done, finished goods is being produced, checked for the quality, ironing done, and it is being dispatched. So this is an overview on this. Now coming to the manufacturing workflow. See, there are two types of manufacturing company in garment. One is that person or a company who has its own brand. Okay, so one is who has own brand, and second is the factories which work with the large brands like Nike, Adidas, Puma, or Walmart, or American Eagle, Under Armour. All these global brands, they work to manufacture these brands for these brands. So there are generally typically two type of companies. One is who manufacture their own brands, and other is who manufacture for others, which are called as toll manufacturing or contract manufacturing. Okay, so these two factories, though the operations controls remains the same, but broadly in the business structure there is some change in the pre-sales and the other part of the operations. So generally what happens is, for example, I'm talking about a company, let's say, who is making for the other brands, and also have a mixture of own brand. So what they will do is they will send the samples to the customer, they will receive the order, right? Then they will work on the fabric development. After the fabric development is done, and the whole process of costing, before the order, there is a process of costing that is being sent to the customer. Once they approve the costing, then you work on the samples, you send them the samples, they approve the samples, they send you the tech packs. Generally, the PO generally in this industry is known as tech packs, which has all the technical aspect of the garment. So basically it will have the fabric details, it will have how the pocket should be placed, where it should be placed, if there's any embroidery, how it should be done. So that is being given to the factory, and post that the complete planning is done by the factory for ordering of the garments, and then accordingly the patterns and all these things are made, which we will see, going forward. So this is a complete workflow of the garment industry, how it works. Now, when you specifically come to the on floor, so for I'm assuming that we have received the order, everything is in place. Now you have received the fabric, and now we are getting into operation. So how it works? So first I'm covering the processes, and then we will cover that what are the controls that as an internal auditor we should look at. So if you see, garment manufacturing, so you have received the fabric. So for any particular order, you plan your production so there are lines in the manufacturing line. So for example, in the manufacturing unit, you have 10 lines. A line is where raw material will be fed to the line. So set line is basically a set of machines. So basically a raw material will be fed in that line, and end of the line you will get the garment ready. So there will be, let's say, 30 machines where first one will stitch the collar, second will put the button, third will do some other work, and then at the end of the line, you will see that the garment is made. So that is called as a line in a garment manufacturing company. So let's say if you have 10 lines in the factory, it is always pre-decided which product will be manufactured in which line. So you will do the complete planning. Generally, it's a monthly plan that is being done. And as I mentioned, that is a labor intensive unit. These are labor intensive units. So you need to plan because you need to recruit and all those things. So once you receive the order, there is a planning of manpower, material, and machine. You will also see that generally, let's say, if you see for example, if you're wearing any t-shirt of, let's say, Puma or Nike, right? So if you see the fabric of that garment, these fabrics are generally made in Taiwan and China. Okay. And for example, I have a factory in India. I have got an order from Puma to manufacture a white, simple polo t-shirt, 1 lakh pieces. So the process will be that Puma will give me the specification that, okay, this is the fabric, this is how you have to produce, as I mentioned, tech pack, and I will be doing it. But before that, I have to get a raw material. So these materials are generally made on order, right? So they will place, and we'll have to place an order to the manufacturing mill in China, right? Or India. Mostly, as I mentioned, it's from China and Taiwan. You have to order them. So once you order it, they will take 30 to 45 days or 60 days to manufacture that. Then you will import it in India. It will take, let's say, 30 days as a sailing time. And then you will manufacture in 10, 15, 20 days. You will export it. For example, in US, it will take 30 days or 45 days to reach, and then customs. So the whole life cycle is 122, may go up to 150, 180 days. So you have to very minutely plan in this, that when you will receive which material, because even if you don't get one button, which is as per the specification of the customer, you cannot ship your garment, and it will not be considered as complete, right? So there are a lot of raw material which is being put in: thread, collar, then buttons, packing material, tag. So a lot of things. So you have to plan for the material, manpower, machines. Then you do a fit size sample. So when you start a big order, you do some number of pieces, you send it to the customer back for the fit, quality, and everything. They approve, and then you go ahead and do the further production. And then there's obviously a material sourcing that we discussed. So once this everything is being done, ordered, you receive the material, right? You do a testing. Once you do a testing in the fabric, testing of the fabric in your warehouse, after the testing is done, it goes to the cutting department. There's a CAD. So if you see this on the right side, these are the CAD cutting machines. So generally, the cutting is done through the automatic Gerber. These are the Gerber machines, which is done through basically laser lights. So these are the modern machines which are there now in the factories. And the first image that you are seeing is a marker. We say that, generally you must have seen in the tailor or in the small manufacturing setup where they cut through blade or something, right? But here what we do is there is a the CAD, generally it is called as a CAD design. So they design in one layer what is the best optimization or use of the garment. So they design like this. They put the sheet on this second image that you are seeing. The white one is this drawing sheet, and then this machine automatically follows these pattern. So this is a cutting where you optimize the the material, right? So this is the cutting. After cutting, it goes to the swing, goes to the line, and then if there's a washing, because if let's say it's a jeans or it's some other specific kind of material, it needs washing. After washing, it's finished. Again, the checking. So if you see that always there are a lot of inspection happening in the between, material inspection, and after swing there will be a quality check. In line there will be a quality check, while production also. After its finishing is done, there will be a quality check, and then before shipment there will be a before shipment audit. So this is a general process that is being followed in a garment manufacturing company. So any questions still here? Okay. So now what I'll do is I will just stop this and I'll try to show you one live factory. Live means it's a video, but I would like to show you one live factory, how exactly, maybe, for the benefit of the people who have, who have not gone through a detailed process of the garment factory. So I would like to just show one video, which is a 6-7 minutes video, but I'll keep on explaining the whole process, how exactly it works. See, why I'm getting into this is that garment manufacturing is one of the specialized field, and as an internal auditor, what I have understood is that there's a lot of benefit that you can show, you can have, you can give to your client, because everywhere you can save on the time, you can save on the cost of the material, and there are a lot of things that you can do for your client. So this is one of the industry where internal auditors can add lot of value. Yeah, this is based off my experience that we have done with a lot of Indian and international clients, right? So that's why I am putting in more stress on the processes, because once we understand the process, and then we can look at where we can improve on the efficiencies and the cost. Can I please request other members?
મોનોપોલી અહીંયા ગયા હતા ચીકુવાડી એને 50% કીધું આપશે એને ઓળખે છે નહીં એટલે મેં પાર્સલ લઈ લીધું મેં તો સામનું 40% માં મળ્યું 10% એ લોકો પાર્સલ ના લે છે
Nishaji, can I ask Nishaji, can you please mute?
Okay, good. ગઈ તી બેસરામાં
હા ત્યાંથી તો આવી
Narendra Shahji, please could you mute yourself, sir?
sorry
Sorry. So I'll show you one interesting video which will give you in 5, 6, 7 minutes. It will give you an input of the so I'm using this video of one of, which is also in the public domain. And our client. So basically, I'm using this to show you the process. So this is basically a manufacturing company which manufactures for the other brands, and this is a warehouse, right? So this is a warehouse where all the raw material is being kept. Now, if I talk about internal auditor, now what we should see, if you see these green cards, this is our bin cards, right? So when this inventory was put in and when it was taken out, against which order, everything. So as an internal auditor, what we do is we review each and every bin card, and it's very easy to assess that these roles that are kept are for which order. And also for warehousing, because if you see these large manufacturing units, they have a huge warehouse. So these all are basically a removable racks these are being kept, and see, these are movable racks. So as an internal auditor, we need to see that does they have a process where these racks can be tracked, how the inventory is being kept, and all those things. So this is a warehouse. Once the goods come in the warehouse, it goes for the testing. right? So see, if you see, this is a testing is being done, fabric inspection. Very important part also from the internal audit point is that whether the right fabric you have ordered, whatever you have ordered, whether you have received the right fabric. So for example, the same example we continue, that you are manufacturing for Nike, but you know, you have ordered white fabric of 150 GSM and 5% spandex or whatever, you know, the composition of the garment. But when you receive, there is a defect in the fabric. So what will happen if you don't check it properly, and if you take it to the production, even if you produce a right quality cut and make, basically if you have done a swing in a right way, but the fabric is faulty, customer is not going to take, right? So very important to see whether the right kind of inspection is being done at a right point. So that is very important. So as an internal auditor, we have to verify whether, as per the, so there are a lot of methods that different customers want you to follow, or as a SOP, you know, every manufacturing unit might have a different kind of inspection process. So it's very important to understand as an internal auditor that what kind of process is being followed. 4-point inspection is generally one of the very common, where they check for the stretch, composition, fade, and all those things. But there are a lot of other process. So we need to understand what is the inspection process, whether the raw material warehouse, you know, or our inspection team have inspected those material as per the guidelines. And so we have seen that, you know, in a manufacturing setup, as I mentioned, it's a long process. You procure from China, there are shipping issues, the customer has delayed, and all those things, and factory is empty. You need a raw material to feed in, and raw material guys will just issue the warehouse to the floor without doing the inspection. So if that happens and that raw material is faulty, the complete cost of the factory is gone to produce a wrong garment, which was not your fault. So this is generally a typical problem in this industry. But so as an internal auditor, we need to make sure that, you know, these processes are followed. So fabrics, as I mentioned, this is all fabric inspection is being done. You know, swatches are taken. These are basically, you know, different kind of tests, you know, composition, then thickness, and then fading. They wash it, then they see whether, you know, the shading is not changing. So for example, they have got 5,000 rolls, so they will just take, you know, few rolls and see that there is no change in the shade or something. So this is basically from the raw material point of view. Now the CAD designing, as I mentioned, that the process is you received in the raw material, you did a inspection, and you said, okay, the garment is okay. In parallel, the CAD department will design that how your, you know, how you will cut the fabric. So these are the CAD designs. Okay. So these are the, you see that they design that, okay, if we put in a layer of the fabric, how we should cut the fabric, right? So it is a little modern sort of, you know, manufacturing setup where they do a CAD designing. And as an auditor, we need to technically understand that, okay, whether the CAD designing, what parameters they are taking, because there is a lot of chance that once the CAD design is wrong, you will cut a wrong garment, wrong fabric. And once it is cut, then it's gone, you know. And what happens, as I mentioned, is a long process of procurement of this garment, the fabric to make the garment. And let's example, we did someone did a wrong CAD design, right? Because of whatever reason, there are a lot of factors. There is a shrinkage. So if you see the polyester, it you know, it stretches and then it comes down. So you need to factor all those things while doing a CAD design. Now, if you have done a wrong CAD design, so whatever you have cut, because machine will follow the design, right? It will not use the common sense. It will just follow the marks that is being put in. So as an internal auditor, we need to see that are all the factors of you know, CAD designing is being followed. We need to technically upgrade ourselves and, you know, talk to them. Okay, if there is a wrong cut, then we need to understand what is the root cause, how frequently this is happening, why it is happening. Because see, if you see one garment, if I talk about a factory cost, let's say if it is $10 or 1,000 rupees, 60% is a fabric cost. Fabric, accessories, packing is 60-65%. 20-25% will be your cut and make charges, that is basically swing and cutting and all these labor charges and everything, electricity, and then rest 10 to 15% is your margin at a manufacturing level. Now, if you have done a wrong cutting of the garment or a fabric, then it's a huge loss to the company, because out of 100 rupees you have lost 60-70 rupees, and which is of no use. Once it's cut, it's of zero value, right? So as an internal auditor, we need to understand whether they are doing in a cutting and everything is done in a right way. There are no wrong cuts, and the frequency is not the proper calculation is being done. Then this is a sampling room. The company will have a small sampling room where they'll do the samples. Definitely there's a different process of doing the sampling, costing of the samples and all those things. So this will be a sample which is a continuous process for the new customer, fit samples as we saw, and send to the client. Here also, as an internal control, we need to see that how many samples are prepared, for what purpose, how it is consumed, whether the sample is billed to the client, it is not billed to the client, and all those things, right? Because it also has a cost. Now, once the CAD has done the design, everything is done, then the layering of the fabric is done on the layering table. This is a before cutting exercise, right? So this is a layering which is being done. Again, it's done through automatic nowadays. Now what we have to see is, again, this is all as per the OB sheets, cutting sheets and all. So it's a very technical assessment. But yes, we need to see that whether what sheets as per the cutting plan is there. So they make a cutting plan. So we need to follow the cutting plan, see whether they are cutting as per the plan, layers are as per what was planned and everything. And then you put in above the layers of the fabric, you put in the CAD design, you put in a plastic, and then this cutting happens. Yeah. So this is auto cutting, which is based on the laser. So once you have done a wrong designing or wrong planning or something, then it's gone. And this is a manual cutter. You will see that this is a manual cutter, right? So after the cutting is done, so imagine that the cutting is done and it's in bits and pieces. So one part one part is somewhere else, collar is somewhere else, front is somewhere else, and back is somewhere else. So what they do is then they ticket it, to ensure that, so let's say ticket 1 of front panel, one person will do front panel, second will do back panel, third will do collar. So when you will merge, you will get 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? So this is a ticketing system that is being done. If this is done wrong, again, there can be a issue of shading, right? So let's say because you get a fabric of 5,000 rolls, one layer is of first roll and last layer is of 5,000 rolls, there can be a difference of shading. So we need to see that, okay, how these rolls, planning of the cutting is being done. It's done on the FIFO basis, ensuring that the lot of the rolls is taken subsequently so that there is not much variation, right? So once the ticketing is done, it goes for the value added part. For example, so for example, there's embroidery, right? So it's very interesting. You will see that, once the cutting is done, it's ticketed and put in the parcel, and then it's that part of the garment. For example, my pocket has a embroidery or front has embroidery. That part will go to the embroidery department. Rest will wait. It will come back and then it will go for a swing. So we need to ensure that, okay, what number of pieces went for the embroidery, when it came back, it's done on the same, as per the time period which was decided. Generally what happens is, for example, we have sent, let's say 50,000 pieces for embroidery, and due to machine, maybe 500 or 50 pieces got destroyed, or they got some error, right? Or or 10 pieces got lost, or some 50 pieces got some stains or something. So this all needs to be covered in the planning. So we as an internal auditor need to ensure that whether these all things are covered in the production plan, cutting plan, what kind of buffer you are keeping. It should not be more, it should not be less. Even in procurement, for example, you have to make 10,000 pieces. So you will say, okay, one garment will take 1 yard or 2 yard. So you will order 20,000 yard, but you will have to keep some buffer so that cutting goes wrong. So what is that buffer? If you keep too much, then it's a problem. If you keep too less, then you'll have to call for the call the fabric in air, which will be an expensive exercise. So internal auditor plays a very critical role to optimize all these kind of things, because procurement guy will say, okay, I will not take a risk, I will order 5% extra. Cutting guy will say, okay, I will also cut 5% extra because something goes wrong. But if your overall margin is 15%, so when I say 15%, I'm talking about only the garment manufacturing setup. If you have your own brand and all, then margin may be very high. But I'm talking about the manufacturing setup. Generally, even if it is your own brand, you consider manufacturing margin 10-15%. So if you take 5-7% as extra fabric, or you do an error in cutting or this embroidery and all these things, then it's a problem. So we need, as an internal auditor, we need to see that which department has the issue or does not have a control, right? Where they are losing money, or where they are wasting the fabric, or where there is input and output ratio is not appropriate. Yeah, I think there is some questions which I'll take. Okay, so once this is done, so it will once the embroidery is done, it will go back. It will go back, and this is an embroidery machine that do embroidery. I think they are making for Under Armour. That is one of the brand. So once this embroidery is done, so this is a testing. If you see that this all after the embroidery, they test whether right positioning is done or not, and if there is a laser cutting, this kind of cutting happens. Why I'm showing this is to understand that how it looks very easy, but it's not very easy in the garment sector to produce a right garment in volume with efficiency and optimum use of resources. And at the same time, because of the complexity, what an internal auditor, as an internal auditor, we can we can add value to the organization. So these are, you must have seen these are the printing, how the printing happens. And then before the printing, this goes under after the printing, to make it dry, it goes through a process. And this is actually a floor. So before getting before getting into the production floor, this all exercise happens: cutting, CAD, relaxing. The garment needs to be relaxed before cutting, because that there should not be any shrinkage or something, because garment gets stretched, all those things, and then you come to an actual production floor. And this is so if you see that this is one line, right? So what I was mentioning is one line. So the process is set in a way that someone will do one part, second part, third part, fourth part, and as you walk and go towards the end, you will see the the garment is manufactured. See how minutely every one is doing the work. And as an internal auditor, what I have to see, every person here has a target. Okay, so the person who is putting in the this is auto blanket machines for the zip and all, or these buttons. So what is the target of this person and how much he has achieved? And this is per hour. So there is a feeder who goes and counts every hour and see that, okay, what was the target and what someone has, that line or there's a. So this has been reviewed by the management. So as an auditor, what we do is we understand, okay, what are the targets? Based on what the targets has been set up, what is the capacity of this machine, and what is the how many people are required to do this, and what should be the target of each operation. What should be the target of each operation, and whether these targets are being met. If not, then what is the reason of loss? So this, to this extent, an auditor can go and add value, that okay, so what is a bottleneck? Maybe this elastic cutter is a bottleneck. So people before and after are able to perform, but this, because of no elastic, the second operation is not being able to execute it. So what is the gap? Why the shipment is getting delayed, or why the garment is not produced on time, right? So as an internal auditor, we can go through each process and understand, okay, what is the bottleneck, where there is a quality issue, what is the rejection rate, right? This is generally a airport, this is called as a packing section. Why this is done, the scanning is done like this, is because all the big brands, they want factories to scan that there is no needle or any unwanted substance in the packet. So they see that, okay, because there is a possibility that while it's sewing there is a needle or something. So this process is being executed. And here, as an internal auditor, this is your area where how much garments are produced, packed and sent for a packing section. So after the packing section, it goes into a box, it's sealed, and everywhere there are numbers, right? So how much you received in the airport area, how much it was packed, and how much you received in the warehouse, how much it is being shipped, what is the rejection, and everything. So we analyze all those things as an internal auditor. Then this is a pre-shipment. So in the factory, we saw that while production, there are a lot of things which was checked. After that, before the shipment also, there are trained auditors who will open any random boxes. They will have the sample size as we have in our audit. They will open it, do the sample test, they will do the testing, and they will do the sample testing, and then they will do the sample testing, and then they will submit a report, right? So this is also known as QC. These are the certified auditors by the client generally, or these are all certified auditors how we are, right? And generally these factories have daily production meeting and this thing. Yeah, so these are all, this is also important because everyone is talking about ESG, right? So we are talking about sustainability. We are talking about what you are doing for your people, what you are doing for society. So this is very important, and we all are aware is one of the important part because of our exercise now to ensure that what is being done. As earlier it was CSR, now the point added is the ESG. Yeah. So from that point of view is medical exercise. Then again, what are the safety, very important that people who are working in the factory should be safe. So what trainings are being done? See, earlier, we all are aware that earlier we used to only focus on the numbers. I think I have already spoken for almost 45 minutes, but I have not talked about P&L, balance sheet, current ratio, gross profit, net profit. So you will understand the mindset of the internal auditor today is totally different. It's 20% we talk about number, or even I'll say less, but more we are focused on what exactly is happening in the factory, what is the global standard, or basis the factory's size, what should be what they should follow, whether they are following ESG, safety trainings. Training is one of the important aspects that we regularly see and ensure that client does this safety trainings, educating their people on what to do, what not to do if happens. Because if you see these kind of garment factory in India also and abroad, they will have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people, right? So they need to make sure that and people are skilled as well as unskilled people. So all the training, these are important. These are fire trainings. And because of the garment and synthetic, mainly synthetic, there can be a lot of there can be a lot of reasons to catch fire. So basically, covered what exactly is being done in the garment manufacturing company and how we can help. I'll just take, I think there are a couple of questions. I'll take those questions and then I'll go back to the so Narendra ji has the question. I want to know what are the 5 or maybe 3 major audit areas to be looked in while conducting the internal audit. Yeah, so that I'll cover 4 or 5 areas, very important. So basically it is raw material. See, as I mentioned that one garment, For example, the cost of production or of sale value for manufacturing unit is, let's say, 1,000 rupees. So that covers 70 rupees or 60 rupees is a cost of the raw material. 5 rupees can be accessories and packing material, and 20 rupees is your cut and make cost. Cut and make cost is basically whatever it takes to cut and make the garment. Okay, so major part is fabric. You need to ensure you are putting a right fabric, right volume, quality testing, and then you will see that we are manufacturing in a right manner. So so there are a few controls in the warehouse, production, and all that we will cover in detail. Does the management keep such records? Target piece to be completed 100%. Target piece to be completed per hour target. If I have some image, I'll show you. Per hour target is being reported. So each line, when you walk to the floor, each line will have the target. So this, they will have a target. Okay, this hour you have to produce this much. How much they produced? What is the shortage? What is the QC rejection? And why they could not produce what they had committed? Each line every hour. And there are people who are only on the floor managers who only see that why this has not been achieved, because you can see the cost of per hour, per minute of that factory, and if it is not produced on time, there are huge losses. So yes, even it is small or big, all the companies have the target per day, if not per hour. Whether the workers are paid on daily basis or piece. See, in India, I have seen that in small companies, somewhere some people have. I think this is Ramji. Ramji, if you have any other questions, also you can unmute and discuss. I think these are your questions. So mainly, if you go to Ludhiana and these kind of manufacturing hub, they have some companies will have a per piece basis, but the large organizations are on not on daily basis. It is on monthly basis. So they are the employees and wages are being paid with the incentive. So I hope these two questions, Narendraji and Ramji, your questions are resolved. So in case someone has a question, please feel free to unmute and discuss or put it on the chat box.
Yeah, Mohit, can I speak?
Yeah, please, sir.
Yeah, one of the issues which I just wanted to, look into when we are doing the audit of garment manufacturing. See, as you have rightly said, it is a labor-intensive industry. But nowadays there is a lot of automation, motion going on in this industry.
Yes.
So there are two types of organizations: those which are going for automation and where the labor intensity is less, and those which are not in automation.
Yes.
So if you compare both of them, the internal control system will be different.
Yes.
Both of them. Where automation is there, that is mechanical, so maybe the controls will be automated, and where it is manual. So where you see the internal audit risk when we are doing the audit, actually, which area we should focus that, okay, this contains a very major risk. As you have rightly said, that if there is a problem with the fabric, if the fabric is spoiled, then your entire profit is gone.
Yes.
So that is one. Second, the labor, it is a labor intensive industry. The regulations related to labor, which are very complex in our country, how as an industry has to look into this? Because as you have shown in your video, there are many ladies who are working there actually. So the application of a law like post and harassment and all those things. Apart from that, other issues where the quality of the work. Someone, as you have said, there's a line actually, and people are manufacturing same sort of things actually. If in that line, if one mistake has happened, and that will happen to all of those items. And
Yeah.
those items will be not to the standard of the company actually.
Right.
So have you come across any situation when that sort of problem has taken place actually? Because I understand there's a lot of planning involved in this actually.
100%. 100%. And yes, so I think you have put, a very, all the pain points of the garment industry. So, that's what I say, that pharma, so when we visit pharma plant, I still feel that it is not that complicated, because when you see that, okay, pharma का audit करना है और garment का audit करना है, you will say, यार, चलो garment हो जाएगा, pharma so complicated. It's look like that. I'm just comparing to this thing, manufacturing, but garment is more complicated. बिकॉज एक चीज में आप एक शर्ट पहनते हो, बट देर आर 50 और 30 बॉम्ब. इफ यू सी द बॉम्ब, राइट, बिल ऑफ मटेरियल, 10 से 15 आइटम रहते हैं, एक आइटम भी नहीं है गया, किसी ने कॉलर गलत लगा दिया, पूरा ये गया. सो वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. सो आई टेक पॉइंट टू पॉइंट. फर्स्ट वी टॉक्ड अबाउट ऑटोमेशन. यस, automation is happening, but still, see, what we see is MMR ratio, which I was about to cover at a later stage, but I'll talk as we have come to this subject. Man machine ratio, right? So how we compare that, how efficient the factory is, because the all cost is of manpower. So one machine will have, so generally the ratio is 1 is to 1.5 to 2, depending on if you are automated. Your man to machine ratio, मतलब एक machine. So if you are running 1,000 machine factory, right? 1,000 swing machine, to make it simple, I'll tell it. So 1,000 machine sample में कितने लोग होने चाहिए? So ballpark is you should have 1.6, 1.7, right? तो 1,700 लोग होने चाहिए. But if it is automated, then your MMR ratio should reduce. And that's what I say, that in this industry, internal auditor can play a tremendous role, not only on checking but value addition. So for example, जैसे हमने देखा था एक blanket machine है. So blanket machine में 2 लोग लगते थे, for example एक line में. But $15,000 में, because this comes from again from China, all these automated machines, $15,000 में आप अगर एक machine लेते हैं, 2 की जगह या 4 की जगह 2 ही लोग लग रहे हैं. So they do a payback period, right? What is a payback period and what is your saving? Right? So basic structure, you see, the complete factory cannot be automated. When I say cannot be automated, is because of so many reasons. So I think there are a lot of factories which are 100% automated, but it will not be even 1%, right? It has a hanger system and all. Practically 99%, few operations can be automated. So as a detailed structure of your internal controls, it will remain same. What will add is that, okay, now this payback period. Now you are adding so many machines, but you are not reducing people. Then what is the purpose of doing automation? So you should reduce people, you should improve on the quality, your rejection ratio should come down, right? So all these things needs to be added when you are looking at an automated factory. Compliance, sir, India is one part where we feel that it is very complicated, but let me tell you where also outside, because I had an opportunity to audit a lot of garment factories outside India also. It's same all across, right? Plus or minus, union and all those things. So every country has its own challenge. We feel that India only has that challenge, but every country has its own challenge. Now coming to compliance. So the factories, for example, someone who is making, I'll give you an example. So I was talking to someone, one of the factory where, which is not in India but UAE. So Nike was doing an audit for that factory to manufacture the garment. You know why it was rejected? Because Nike told that you cannot run factory for more than 8 hours or 10 hours. So for example, someone is doing a garment manufacturing for an American brand in India, so they have to follow Indian compliance as well as the compliance of US compliance, in a way where they will say, okay, you cannot, even if you have paid the advance, you cannot deduct the complete advance in 5 salaries. You cannot deduct more than 10% of the salary as a deduction. They will go and see that what are the size of dormitories, what is the size of window, what is they are being given to eat, all those things also are concerned because of the ESG issues, and when you work for all these big brands, right? So apart from compliance, this is also huge issues, and all the company face this, and that's why you need to have a right governance, and that's why I again repeat that internal auditor can play a huge role, and this is one of the risks which you were mentioning. Major areas I'm going to cover, so I'll part this question, and fourth is quality. Quality is very critical, and you will see that if out of 10 people, 2 people are of quality only, because they keep on checking the quality. If something goes wrong, the order is goes gone for toss, because what will happen is, even if you ship a wrong order and you have shipped to US, they will not pay you, and then even you have to pay damages and all those things. So these clients, these customers are very, because we are everyone is becoming quality cautious. So if you have got a t-shirt which is not as per the quality, or you have something, and garment is something, the moment you wear, you will understand that okay, this stitching is not right, this color is not, yeah, so because it is clearly visible. So quality is most important, and most of the companies automate because of the quality issues. Yeah. So I hope these points are covered, Ramji, and this major areas I will cover. So I'm going to speak about couple of 4-5 core areas of the factories that we should look for the garment manufacturing. Yeah. So anyone else having any questions, please feel free. So sir, hope your queries are resolved, and on this point I will take on the other. I have already incorporated in the presentation on the major areas. Yeah.
Thank you,
So
Mohit.
these are, sorry. Yeah. So coming back to the departments that any garment manufacturing unit has. So first is the merchandising department, right? Merchandising department is basically a department who is a connect between the customer, who is a common point, who connects with the customer, who connects with the factory, who connects with the raw material supplier, who connects with the warehousing to see the shipment is done, who connects with the logistics. So he's the owner of the order, right? So that's the merchandising team. Then you have a sampling department, fabric store, we all are aware, trims, accessories, and so generally this store also is divided in two parts: fabric store, trims, accessories, stores. Then we have a cutting department, then there's a sewing department, then there's a washing, quality assurance department, and each department in itself are huge departments. I would say that, and everyone has a very critical role to play. So sewing department needs to ensure that he's getting a right kind of fabric, so they have got a right kind of cutting done, then only the sewing department can act. So for example, the sewing, and these are all interrelated. For example, the sewing department has 5,000 workers, but they have not got the fabric, or they have got the fabric but they have not got one tag which has to be put in here. This whole department will be sitting idle, and you can imagine the loss that a factory like this, where I showed a video, more than 5,000, 10,000 people, the cost per second is in cost per day, per minute is huge, right? So all the proper planning needs to be done. Then you have a washing department who washes, and see these goods, when these garments, without being manufactured in bits and pieces, are moving from one hand to other, one department to other department. Like you saw in the video for the embroidery, it came back for the sewing, it will go for a washing, again it will come back. And so you need to ensure that each bits and pieces of the fabric is intact and it's properly produced and then shipped. Then there's a maintenance department, which there's a change of line, because each type of garment is different in itself. So for example, you are making a polo t-shirt, so the line setup, machine setup, which you need first, second, third, will be different. If you're making a crew neck, or you're making a round neck, or you're making lowers, then it will be different. So you need to ensure that, okay, whether the maintenance or change machinery department is aligned with your planning department and sewing department and all those things. Then we have our finance department and HR department. So all these departments remain same. in the general administrative departments, but these are the new department which is specific to the industry, that is merchandising, cutting, sewing, washing, quality. Quality is itself a separate department. Now, these are some nomenclature. Before we talk about the controls, I thought I will discuss about some nomenclature on the that is generally used in the garment manufacturing. So first is SMV, standard minute value. So what is SMV? So how much time, standard time will be required to manufacture one garment? For example, you are wearing a t-shirt or a shirt. How much time will it be required to manufacture one shirt? It will include all the operations. It will include your cutting, what is the time for cutting, what is the time for stitching, what is the time for packing. So each department will have their time. And the costing is done based on, which I'll cover in next few slides, how the costing is done. So it's very important to understand these terminologies. So basically, how much standard time is required to do the operations? Because you get a cost of that operation, let's say per minute. So that's very simple. Okay, 10 minutes into 2 rupees, so the 20 rupees is the operation cost. So, job, because we follow the job costing. So standard minute value is the first thing which you need to understand, that what, and this is a basic to start the costing of the project. Second is available minutes. So what are the available minutes? That basically with the installed capacity, and these are very important as an internal auditor, though it is a small unit or big unit, because when we go to the small unit, they say, sir, काम बहुत बढ़ गया है और हम एक और building बना रहे हैं. Then we go back to the basic and then we say, okay, what is your area of the factory? How many machines you have installed in this factory? How many people are working? And then you map the area and they say, 50 machine to idhar hi lag jayegi. Why you want a new building, right? So basically, that all comes under, the management of capacity. Now, with that capacity, you calculate the available minutes. That, okay, how many machines are available? How many people are there on the shop floor? And what minutes are available in the full day? So assembly, for example, you have 10,000 minutes, and you know that one garment will take 10 minutes. So hypothetically, you will be able to prepare 10,000 divided by 10 garments, right? So you will be preparing, end of the day, you should have 1,000 garments. Okay. And based on the efficiency, you will see that, okay, my efficiency, though it should take 10 minutes, but it's taking 15 minutes, right? So my efficiency is, let's say 50%. So out of 1,000, we made 500 garments. So to bring to this crux, okay, what were the available minutes? What was the SMV? How much we produced? And how much we produced comes from the earned minutes. So for example, so it's very simple, like our, right? Let's say it's like our industry. We have 5 chartered accountants, they work 8 hours a day, they have 5 days in a week. So for example, they have 100 hours. Okay. So out of 100 hours, how many hours you have billed to the client? That are your earned minutes, right? So same here. It's time taken to manufacture the actual pieces. Available minutes was that, okay, the person is there, he's available for 8 hours. So these are your available minutes. Earned minutes are actually how much work he has done based on the standard SMV. And efficiency is basically earned minutes divided by available minutes. Cost per minute, which I was talking about, and it's very very common in the industry to identify what is your cost of operations per minute, because as I mentioned, 2 things are very important: standard minute value, how much time it takes to manufacture the garment, and what is the cost per minute. And it has always direct cost, indirect cost, allocation. So as an internal auditor, which I'll cover later also in one of the slides, costing is very important. How you calculate cost per minute, whether the allocation is right for the indirect cost and all these things. Then you have UPLH, which is UPLH, which is unit produced per labor hour. Basically, it is per available labor hour. So one labor has produced how many pieces. Then you have CMR, cut and make realization. As we have machine cost, basically how much time it took to produce one piece, how much is your earning from that piece, and then there's a machine cost. So the overall cost you take and you divide it in a number of machines, then you get, okay, one machine is costing me 500 rupees per day. what it is producing, and what is my income per machine as a CMR. So these are the few common words, and I would also say the very critical aspect of any garment industry, whether it is big or small. As an internal auditor, this is very important to understand these dynamics of the garment manufacturing. Then only you will be able to add value. And believe me, even the large organization sometimes suffers to bring all the data at one space and analyze and work on the improvements of these. Which I feel, as an internal auditor, we can 100% work on these with clients and improve their efficiencies and costing. So coming to the core key areas, which Ramji also asked, that what are the key areas you feel that in a garment manufacturing industry we should audit? First and foremost is inventory control. So inventory, when I say inventory, it is basically a warehouse, right? So making sure you saw that how big the warehouses are, right? Because there is a bulk of material that comes in. How they are keeping it, RM is basically raw material, trims, accessories, packing material, work in progress, finished goods. So it covers a lot of things, and then you see that, okay, how these are being recorded, issued, consumption check, inward, left over. So there are a lot of things. For example, I take one of the examples. For example, you got a order of 10,000 pieces to manufacture for a third party or yourself, and 10,000, and you got, for example, it takes 2 yards to manufacture one t-shirt. Now understand how critical is the role of warehousing. Now warehouse will receive the fabric, they will do a relaxing. As I mentioned, relaxing is a process generally for the polyester, which is before the cutting, you have to relax the fabric for 1 day. So if he has not relaxed and directly sent for the cutting will go wrong, that material will be wasted. Now, for example, you have got 10,000 pieces, every day you are making 1,000 pieces. And if they have not kept a track of how much they should issue, and they have issued an excess quantity which has been wasted by a cutting department, or it has been stolen or whatever, on the last 2 days he will say, I have no fabric. Yeah, because he did not check on daily basis that what is my next need of the next 5 days, 10 days, and whether do I have that fabric or not. And if not, then have I informed the production team that, okay, I don't have this fabric, this has fell short, so please change your plan, don't keep your line free, you take this plan, and I have this fabric, you can start working on this fabric. So this is one of the point out of all the major points. So this is one of the control which warehouse has to take care. Reconciliation of the orders, mostly on daily basis, weekly basis, that okay, how much we have issued, how many pieces have been produced, what is left, do I have that rest of the raw material to manufacture my rest of the orders. Obviously, then issuance, recording, consumption check, leftovers. For example, you have, as mentioned, that you want to produce 10,000 pieces. 2 yard required for per piece, so it's 20,000 yard you have to order. Now, obviously, you will order something extra because there can be shrinkage, there can be some part of the fabric which has a quality issue, or something goes wrong, so you will order 1%, 2%, depending on everything. So if, for example, you have got 5 lakh pieces order, you have ordered 2% extra, right? So you can additional make 10,000 garments out of the leftover. If you have done everything right and you have got the rest of the fabric, what you will do? So keeping all the leftover fabric and keeping a record of that and keeping it safely, because fabric also, if you don't cover it, keep it properly, it is of no use. After 6 months, it will have dust and it will be of no use. So all these, as I mentioned, in 1,000 rupees garment, the cost of, I'm talking factory cost, not MRP, because all these brands, they have 40-50% margin at least. But I'm talking about the factory cost. For example, the factory is selling for 1,000 rupees, they will have a material cost of 60 rupees. So this is important from the warehouse because they are the custodian of the maximum value. Now coming to purchases and consumption, which I partly covered here, is again, this is a role of cutting department, CAD department, merchandising, production department, as well as warehousing, to ensure that the right material is sourced first, right quantity is sourced, what is the shrinkage. So all these is calculated while ordering your fabric. Then making sure that if there is any loss, how you find a gap and ensure that you are making the pieces required, because these all big brands, for example, you ordered they have ordered 10,000 pieces to be manufactured. You got a raw material which is not managed properly by inventory team, cutting has done some wrong cuttings, and you could produce only 8,000, right? So your factory grading will go down. So next time you might not receive order also, and if this continues for 2-3 times, then might be that your factory is blacklisted. So it is very critical control from the inventory point of view. Then coming to consumption, as I mentioned, consumption control. So if 2 yard is required, are we using 2 yard, or in costing we had taken 2 yards, but actually we are using 2.2 yards, which is 10% more. First, your cost has gone up. You cannot go back to the customer and tell that I will want 10% extra. You cannot go back to the so that is one loss. You cannot go back to the raw material supplier and say that, okay, you send me tomorrow, because that is not possible. It is a specific fabric made for a specific order. Even if he makes it, you will have to air it, and there's a huge cost involved. So inventory, purchases, that you are not adding too much extra or too much less. You have a template or your formula or framework, how much you should order. You are not getting you are not losing on cutting, etc. Ratio sheets and all that and all. So basically these two is related to the material. So I can combine and say that material, consumption, ordering, and keeping of the records for issuance. Reconciliation, which I mentioned, is very important. That okay, if the order is running for 50-20 days, what is the consumption? It should not happen that last 2 days you don't have fabric to issue. Yeah, so you should have a control of what is the plan. If you are making 1,000 pieces today, I can only issue you 2,000 yard of fabric, and you have to reconcile at the end of the day. Then production control, which I have one separate slide for this, but broadly it covers right from your capacity planning. As I mentioned, that we talk about, okay, my target is 1,000. How you arrived at 1,000 is our role. Going back and seeing that what is the installed capacity of the plant. So installed capacity of the plant is, for example, you can have 2,000 sewing machines. So what is the overall capacity and what is the installed? So out of overall capacity, plant capacity is 2,000, you have installed 1,500. So capacity of the plant, then what you are, basically installed, and what you are utilizing. So you have 1,500 machines, but you are utilizing 1,200. So it's very important to identify, because all the parameters will be as per these capacities. Manpower planning, so which is also a part of, is a combined role of production and human resource. So for example, as I mentioned that the MMR is very important, like cost per minute, one of the key area. Second is, what is your MMR, man machine ratio, right? So if one machine has how many people? So for example, if you have 2,000 people and 1,000 machine, your manpower MMR is 1:2, 2 people against 1 machine. So what is the industry standard? It might change based on the country, it might change based on the automation, but generally it ranges between 1.5 to 2.5, depending on how automated the factory is. So that is important. If you have a huge orders after 3 months or 2 months, you need let's say you need 500 more machines, then you need to hire today, because you have to train those people for a specific kind of garments. So this is on the production control. Efficiency, what is the efficiency? As we saw that The simple way of calculating is earned minutes divided by available minutes, UPLH, unit produced per labor hour. These are few KPIs or of the factory that, or a production manager or the head of the production to see, and also as an internal auditor to review that what exactly was planned, what is happening, whether their targets are right. Because based on my experience, what I have seen, that first thing, targets are not right. So production will say that okay, we can manufacture 1,000, but if you go back technically, you will see that no, your target, you can ideally you should do 1,500. Yeah, so they keep cushioning on the targets as well. So very important, if it's a new client or existing client, take one thing to first understand that how you have arrived at targets. So when you go to targets, you will go to the capacity, you will go to the machine, you will go to the numbers, and it's an intense exercise. And then you say that okay, this is a right target, not more, not less. Ideal should be this, what you are targeting, and then you see that okay, how much you have achieved. Yeah, and then you compare, because all the costing depends on that. HR plays a very vital role, as you rightly mentioned. That compliance is one of the most critical factor. But apart from them, MMR hiring should not happen. If you have 1,000 machine budget, you should not hire more than 2,000 people or whatever is your ratio. This needs to, we need as an internal auditor need to see that okay, what is the process to ensure that they have not gone above MMR. And MMR also has a bifurcation, direct staff, indirect staff, so that all budgeting needs to be taken care. Calculation of incentive OTs, OTs and target. If there is an incentive on the target base, or there is a OT, from the compliance end, because these union issues or this happens only because when the labor is not paid, which was committed. So we need to, the HR needs to very carefully ensure that they are paid for what was agreed. These calculations are also very critical, so this is an important role that HR does. And obviously budgeting and ratio of local workers. So if you go to Guwahati, for example, if you go to or if you go to any other country, also apart from India, you will see that they have, if you are using some incentive schemes and all, they will say that okay, you should use at least 60% people should be local people. Yeah, so you need to maintain those ratio. So it's a very important for HR. Otherwise, a lot of penalties and all those things. So you need to ensure as a HR that that recruitment is done based on that ratio. Then there is costing, budgeting, and finance, where we take care of costing, profitability, budget, and variance as a finance guy. So these are few key areas where we should focus on, where you should focus on. You should focus on in the garment industry. So hope this is clear. In case anyone has questions, please ask. Now I will just cover 2-3 controls, so that I think we have covered. But just to, like as I mentioned, the control in the warehouse, inventory control. Yeah. So I'll just cover that what exactly the controls we should check. For example, if you are talking about a warehouse, right? So whether the receipt of the material as per the BOM, first thing, that what was ordered, have you received that? Or you had ordered white color, you have received green color. So there is no point, right? Because you cannot produce a garment of green color, green fabric, if you have an order of a white fabric. So first and foremost is whether you have received a complete order as per the bill of material. Issuance is done as per the production plan. So the issuance is done as per the production plan is also very important. Then obviously the inspection. If you see the second thing, second picture that is there, this person, and you must have also seen in the video, this inspection, very important. Tests are being done, inspection is being done, reporting of the rejections, again it's very important. If there is any rejections that is there, you should see that okay, mill wise, which fabric or which meal has more rejections, right? So you should blacklist them, or you should ask them to give a credit note because of the waste of the time or production loss that you have. So this gap analysis we need to do with the factories and see that, okay, whether they are keeping a track of rejections, why that was rejected again and again, it is because of the one factory, and all those things. And the basic recording of the inventory, consumption, monitoring, leftover, shortage, obviously we need to keep and keep track of communication, rejection, and the reconciliation. So these are the few controls which you will see from the warehousing point of view. Very critical, and is the controls in the production. This is a very exhaustive sheet actually, which we also follow and followed in the industry. Yeah. So, what should be the KPIs? As I mentioned, that there are few KPIs that needs to be monitored on regular basis by the management, and also as an internal auditor, we should have a continuous monitoring of this process, and not only monitoring, because we should go for root cause analysis and understand that why this is happening. Yeah, gap analysis, and then recommend to the management about the connection. So this is just, I made a small sheet where you will see that, for example, in UAE they have 1, 2, 3, 4 factories. In India you have 4 factories, so whatever. So you just see what is the plan factory wise. So today, for example, this is a 1-day sheet. You see that, okay, this was planned. Okay, so this was planned by production team or merchandiser. Yeah. And how much what is the achievement on actual? So if you see that, okay, 53,000 was planned and 45,000 is achieved, you have only achieved 84%. Efficiency is basically, a lot of factors are involved in efficiency, which is basically, there's an operation bulletin which is made. You will need this many people, but you have taken extra. You should take this money, this machine, but you have taken whatever. So all these are calculated based on the efficiencies calculated. So if you see one factory has 70, other has 43, then you go to SMV, which we are talking about. What is the standard? So if you see what is the average time which is being taken to manufacture the overall. So the time can be different based on the efficiency of the factory, based on the garments that you have taken. So this you need to compare with the actual planned standard SMV. If you see the average SMV of this plant is 20, so maybe they are going slow, or they have some complicated styles. And this is 12, which means they are more efficient, but that's not the case because their efficiency is lower. So that means they have a very simple garment which takes average 12 minutes. Yeah. So this was the standard and this is actual. So if you see planned was 19, this is 19, that is fine. This was planned was 12, and they made it at 11. The number of machines, what was the planned number of machines, how many machines you have run, then production per machine. So if you see that 29 was the planned production per machine per day, but you have achieved 23. Now you need to go back and see what exactly happened, why this is happening. And so this is what I was saying, that every hour, every day is being monitored by all the large organizations, but at least the small organization should do it on a daily basis or maximum on the weekly basis. Because see, once the time is lost, your cost is gone. You will not be able to achieve 200% efficiency anytime. Yeah, so person who can do 10 with the garment which will take 10 minutes will take 10 minutes, right? But if you have wasted 5 minutes, you have made it 20 minutes, you will not be able to recover this loss that has already happened. Then I was mentioning about man to machine ratio. Yeah, so one machine should have average 1.36%, and they're at 1 point, actually is 1.35, which is good, but here they should have 1.44 and they have 1.68, which is alarming. That means there is no control in the recruitment, there is a issue in the recruitment with HR or something else. So this is basically the controls that we need to look after in the production. So as I mentioned, capacity planning, manpower planning, production, SMV. So this is all the crux of. Then we also talk about efficiency. If there's a loss of efficiency, why there is a loss. If there's a change management process, as I mentioned, then machine needs to be changed when there is a change in the style, whether that is recorded and all those things. So this is basic parameters that we see in the production department. Now, if you see the control in the finance department, what was your budget? What is your actual? What is the difference? You know, in number of machines per day, for example, you are running 2000 machines in 25 days or 30 days, you are running 60,000 machines. So what is the average number of machines per day, per month, number of production days? What is the machine cost per day? What is, you know, the realization per day? If you see that my realization is 70 rupees, right? And my cost is, for example, 66 rupees. So per machine per day, I'm making 4 rupees. If I'm running 2000 machines, I'm making 8,000 rupees per day. So these kind of, you know, mechanism are very, and as I mentioned that it's not very easy, though I've presented this, you know, we have been following for our clients and all those things, but as an internal auditor, as a consulting, we understand how important this is for the client. And this is a very important and you know, encouraging area for internal auditors to get into and help to set up all these processes. Yeah, so major key areas, again, checking about actual versus target versus actual, and internal controls on the OT, budget variance, cost allocation, etc. So these are the few things that as a finance team they should monitor. So if you see the complete presentation of mine, we have covered all the major areas, which was 80%, which I was mentioning. Now, after, because only numbers will not be able to give you right analysis, right understanding, right? So you need to first understand the process, you need to monitor at a minute level, and then it will sum up and to the numbers. This is the last slide which I wanted to just show. Again, very important, where a lot of you know, debate we have with the client is costing. How you there are two type of costing. One is a customer cost that you do, yeah, basically a quotation that you make for the customer while taking an order, and second is what is the cost of producing, actual producing, right? So very important to bifurcate all the costings, allocation, direct, indirect, how to allocate, what should be the base number, whether you should take these costing divided by SMV or total available minutes or earned minutes and all those things. So again, very important factor for any factory to consider. So I just kept a sample for you. For example, so the major cost divided into 4 or 5 parts. One is a material cost. The second is cutting and making cost. So material. The second is cut and make. Third is amortization of overheads. Amortization of machine cost, amortization of other overheads, marketing overheads, and then you get a final cost, which is a product cost, which is a standard costing. And then you add your margin and give your price. So this is first part before taking an order. After the order is done, then you compare this with the actual cost that has happened. Okay, this was planned, and what is the actual cost? Yeah, so in the material, it will have a lot of list of fabric, trims, you know, packing material, any other consumable. If there is, then, you know, how much is the consumption, and then you get a material cost. Then same way you do activity based costing actually. So, you know, cutting will be there in all the garments, sewing will be there in all the garments, ironing might not be there, or mostly it will be there, but embroidery is not compulsory. So for example, you are doing a costing for this t-shirt which is on the this here, but it doesn't have embroidery, but you are adding an embroidery cost or a cost of embroidery department, then it's not fair. Yeah, you will always lose the order because you are adding a embroidery department cost in a product which doesn't have embroidery. Yeah, or you are adding a washing cost, or you are not adding this, let's say, a laser print. So very important and critical to have, and this costing only if you can make, if you have all those data. And again, repeating that internal auditor can help to set up a right formats, right way of collecting data, auditing it, because it's not only vouching or you know, doing the auditing, but also consulting them to have the data in the right structure. Yeah, so once this is done, then you know, this proposal is sent. Then once the actual order is done, again there is another methodology to ascertain that what we actually spent to make this, and then we do a comparison of what went wrong. We thought we will be making in $10, but we made in $12. So whether the costing method was wrong or I lost something. If I lost something, then what is the correction measure? If my costing method was wrong, go back and correct. Yeah. So this analysis can really help our clients to have a better way of costing. Okay, now if you had given a proposal of $10, but actually you made it for 8, so that's good. But that's, in a way, it's not good also, because actually your quote was high. You might be losing order because you are charging higher than what actually you should cost, you should charge. So very important as an internal auditor to review the methodology of customer costing and factory costing. So with this, I would conclude my part of presentation and open for questions or discussions, if someone has.
Yeah, I am Atul from Indore. So may I ask a question, Mohit?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Tulji. Please go ahead.
So Mohit, means it is a very hard work presentation. The details you have shared are really fantastic. So that itself tells that the level of hard work that has gone. There's just one means looking at these details, it allows us to understand that to be a good internal auditor, we all need to keep ourselves aware about lot of technicalities of the business process.
Yes.
Some time back, we were doing this textile audit.
Yeah.
So we did try to learn through those ATIRA standards that you'll be probably knowing about.
Yes.
And did compare the ATIRA standards to
Yes.
say the machining, what count of cotton yarn you are producing and what count is expected. But I want to give a feedback that it has been a real hard work presentation.
Thank you, Atul. Thank you. Lot of manufacturing apparel, especially coming to Indore. So I think it's a very good opportunity. Lot of factories coming, Bhopal and Indore, because MP government is giving a lot of incentives. I worked with MP government to bring in some foreign clients, to set up the manufacturing setup in MP. So what I can tell you is that a lot of companies are coming in. So it's a very good opportunity for someone who is in Indore to capture this apparel manufacturing segment.
We are there. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Atulji.
Thank you, Mohit. It was a nice presentation.
Thank you, sir.
And you have certainly taken all the issues which were related in this industry.
Yeah.
Mr. Gupta raised an issue that we should know the manufacturing process and all those things. That is a basic requirement of any audit. Nature of business, unless we know the nature of business, unless we know the process, it's really difficult to manufacture. I will just share one of the experience.
Sure.
One of our clients has a manufacturing unit, and they have come out with something called seamless garments.
Seamless garment, yes.
Seamless garments.
Yes,
and
yes.
he is doing all the work, as you are saying, contract manufacturing for some other companies, and he has his own brand also.
Yes.
So quite a big thing. But one thing which I have noticed recently is that the automation is happening, but the cost is too high.
Too high. Seamless is
only a person with a big pocket can do these sort of things.
Yes, 100%.
So I thank you very much. I thank you very much for the nice presentation. And
Seamless is,
continue doing this and progress in your professional growth also.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Seamless, just to add on, seamless is one of the next thing that is happening, because it comes in a tube and there's a lot of time that saves, but it is expensive. So all these new big brands also have not adopted yet because of the costing. So but yes, a lot of automation happening. You are right, it's a very capital intensive setup, and because if you don't have order for 5 days, 10 days, now we see that US recession, right? And we see the impact of that in these factories. So I was talking to these companies and they say that we are not foreseeing order after July or August or September this year. Yeah. So even if you have to operate for 15 days without an order, you are gone. So whatever you have earned the complete year, it's gone. So it's very, Exactly. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
you.
Thank you very much,
sir.
Mohit.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
yeah.
much, Mohit. Anil
Thank
Makhija
you.
here. This was a fantastic presentation from your end. And we are very glad that we had industry-wide presentation. Somebody has rightly given a suggestion and we have taken up and the benefits are very good. Even
Thank
I have
you.
done couple of textile industries like Raymond I have audited, and I quite understand the relevance of it. And the flowchart, the hard work which is appreciated by everyone doesn't require any further any further insistence from my side.
Thank
So I really thank you on behalf of the entire study group. Look forward to work with you for assignments if any.
Thank you, sir.
Or I look forward to exchange knowledge like this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Anilji. Thank you. So anyone, having questions, happy to take and discuss. Okay. So, Bhavinji, are you there? Or I think there's someone ICIWRC. So shall we conclude the session?
Yes, we can conclude the.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Energy. Thank you, everyone, for the patient hearing. Looking forward to stay connected. Yeah. So take care. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.